Sean Diddy Combs, music mogul, cultural icon, business empire worth hundreds of millions. And now, inmate number 035005 at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. But what happened inside those walls over the past few weeks might be the most shocking chapter yet in a story that keeps getting darker. Because new reports are painting a picture of life behind bars that nobody saw coming. A picture that involves violence, isolation, and a dramatic shift in how federal authorities are treating one of hip-hop's most powerful figures. This is the latest development in the ongoing legal saga of Sean Combs. And it's not what anyone expected. To understand where we are now, we need to remember how we got here. September 2024. Federal agents arrested Sean Combs on charges that sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. The news spread like wildfire across every major media outlet. Headlines screamed about the fall of a hip-hop titan. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from shock to, "I told you so." The arrest became the dominant story in entertainment news for weeks. The indictment was explosive: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, a pattern of alleged abuse spanning decades, according to prosecutors. Diddy denied everything. His legal team immediately went on the offensive, calling the charges a witch hunt. They painted a picture of a man being targeted for his success, his influence, his refusal to back down. But here's what became clear very quickly. Diddy wasn't getting out on bail. Not for $10 million. Not for $50 million. The judge looked at the evidence, looked at the flight risk, looked at the potential for witness intimidation, and said no. So Sean Combs, who once commanded private jets and penthouse suites, found himself in the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, Brooklyn, a facility with a reputation that precedes it, a place where R. Kelly awaited trial, where Ghislaine Maxwell spent her pretrial detention, a place known for its harsh conditions, for violence, for chaos, and according to new reports, Diddy learned that firsthand. Here's where the story takes a turn. Reports started circulating in recent weeks about an incident inside MDC Brooklyn. An altercation. A fight. The details were murky at first. Conflicting accounts. Rumors spreading faster than facts. But slowly, a picture started to emerge. Multiple sources began speaking to outlets about what allegedly happened behind those walls. Some reports suggested a confrontation between inmates. Others hinted at a more complex situation involving facility dynamics and the challenges of housing a high-profile defendant in general population. According to sources who spoke to multiple outlets, Diddy was involved in some kind of confrontation with another inmate. The exact circumstances? Still unclear. Who started it? Disputed. What actually happened? Depends on who you ask. But what's not disputed is what came next. Solitary confinement. Let that sink in for a moment. Sean Combs, awaiting trial, placed in isolation, cut off from the general population, alone in a cell for 23 hours a day. Now, prison officials have been tight-lipped about the specifics. They don't comment on individual inmates as a matter of policy, but multiple sources confirmed the placement. And they confirmed something else, too. This wasn't a standard protective custody situation. This was disciplinary. For anyone who's never experienced it, solitary confinement is brutal. It's designed to be. A small cell, maybe 80 square feet. A bed, a toilet, a sink. For walls. No human contact except when guards deliver meals or perform security checks. 1 hour a day outside the cell, if you're lucky. Usually in another enclosed space, alone. Psychologists have documented what this does to the human mind. Hallucinations, anxiety, depression, a loss of sense of time and space. Your brain starts to unravel when it's deprived of stimulation, of connection, of anything to anchor itself to. Reality. And Diddy, according to sources, spent weeks in these conditions. Think about that. A man who built an empire on collaboration, on being surrounded by people, on commanding rooms full of artists and executives and hangers-on. Now alone. Completely, utterly alone. But here's where this story gets complicated. Because as news of the solitary confinement spread, people started asking questions. Was this punishment proportional? Was this about maintaining order in a dangerous facility? Or was this about something else entirely? Some legal observers pointed out that pretrial detainees, people who haven't been convicted of anything yet, are supposed to have certain protections. They're supposed to be housed differently than convicted criminals. The conditions are supposed to be less restrictive. Extended solitary confinement for someone awaiting trial? That raises eyebrows. Legal experts have long debated the use of solitary confinement for pretrial detainees. Constitutional scholars point to due process concerns. Criminal defense attorneys argue it undermines the ability to prepare for trial. Civil rights advocates call it a form of psychological torture that violates basic human rights. Diddy's legal team certainly had questions. They reportedly challenged the placement, arguing that their client was being subjected to conditions that violated his rights, that the punishment didn't fit whatever infraction allegedly occurred. But here's the thing about federal detention facilities. They have wide latitude in how they manage their population. Security concerns trump almost everything else. And if prison officials determine that an inmate poses a risk to themselves, to other inmates, to staff, they can isolate that person. The question is, did Diddy actually pose that risk? Or was this about making an example? Because let's be real about something. Sean Combs isn't just another inmate. He's one of the most famous people ever held at MDC Brooklyn. His presence there creates complications. Other inmates might seek him out for clout, for confrontation, for any number of reasons. And his celebrity status might actually make him a target. So protective custody, voluntary isolation to keep someone safe, that would make sense. That happens with high-profile defendants all the time. But disciplinary segregation? That tells a different story. That says, you broke the rules, and now you're paying the price. The distinction matters a lot. While Diddy's been navigating life behind bars, his legal battle has continued at full speed. His lawyers have been filing motion after motion, challenging the evidence, attacking the credibility of witnesses, demanding more discovery from prosecutors. The back and forth in federal court has been intense. Defense filings paint Diddy as a successful businessman being persecuted for his lifestyle. Prosecution responses characterize him as a predator who weaponized his power. Each side presents a completely different narrative of the same events. And prosecutors? They've been pushing back hard. They've filed their own documents painting Diddy as a serial abuser who used his power and wealth to victimize women for years, who orchestrated elaborate schemes to hide his conduct, who intimidated anyone who threatened to expose him. The pre-trial proceedings have been a street fight. No punches pulled on either side. But here's what makes the solitary confinement development so significant. It potentially impacts Diddy's ability to participate in his own defense. Think about it. If you're isolated 23 hours a day, how do you meet with your lawyers? How do you review discovery materials? How do you prepare for trial? The logistics become a nightmare. Every attorney visit requires coordination with prison officials. Every document review requires special arrangements. Your ability to strategize, to collaborate with your defense team, to actually prepare for the most important legal battle of your life, it all becomes infinitely harder. And that's assuming your mental state is holding up, which, after weeks in solitary, is a big assumption. There's a reason why defense attorneys fight so hard against extended isolation for their clients. It's not just about comfort or dignity. It's about the fundamental ability to mount an effective defense. Some legal experts have argued that prolonged solitary confinement for pretrial detainees essentially constitutes a violation of due process, that it undermines the presumption of innocence, that it punishes people who haven't been convicted of anything. Whether those arguments will gain traction in Diddy's case, that remains to be seen. But let's zoom out for a moment, because this story isn't just about one man in one jail cell. It's about how the criminal justice system treats the rich and famous when they fall from grace, about whether celebrity status protects you or makes you a target, about the conditions in facilities that house thousands of people awaiting their day in court. MDC Brooklyn has been the subject of intense scrutiny for years. Reports of violence, of inadequate medical care, of lockdowns that last for days, of conditions that human rights organizations have called inhumane. Investigative journalists have documented the facility's problems extensively. Former inmates have given harrowing accounts of their time there. Advocacy groups have filed complaints and lawsuits. The pattern is well established. MDC Brooklyn is one of the most troubled federal detention facilities in the country. Federal officials have acknowledged the problems. They've promised reforms. They've cited staffing shortages and facility challenges and budget constraints. But the conditions haven't changed much. And the people inside, famous or not, are still dealing with the reality of what those conditions mean day to day. Diddy's case has put a spotlight on that reality in a way that most cases don't. Because people are paying attention, the media is covering every development. And what's happening to him is happening to hundreds of other people in that same facility who don't have high-powered lawyers and public platforms. Now, to be clear, if Diddy is guilty of the crimes he's charged with, and he hasn't been convicted, so presumption of innocence still applies, then accountability is absolutely necessary. Justice for alleged victims matters. The law matters. But the conditions of pretrial detention, the use of solitary confinement, those are separate issues. You can believe that Diddy should face trial for serious charges and believe that no one should be subjected to conditions that amount to psychological torture before they've been convicted. These things aren't mutually exclusive. So where does this leave us? As of the latest reports, Diddy has been removed from solitary confinement. The specifics of his current housing situation at MDC Brooklyn haven't been fully disclosed, but sources indicate he's back in a less restrictive setting. His legal team continues to prepare for trial. The date keeps getting pushed back as both sides file more motions, conduct more discovery, build their cases. Court observers expect the trial to be scheduled sometime in the coming months, though the exact timeline remains fluid. Both the prosecution and defense have indicated they need substantial time to prepare, given the complexity of the case and the volume of evidence involved. Prosecutors are building what they say is an overwhelming case. Testimony from alleged victims, documentary evidence, digital communications, a pattern of behavior spanning decades. The defense is preparing to challenge everything, to attack witness credibility, to present an alternative narrative, to argue that consensual adult relationships are being reframed as crimes. It's going to be a long, brutal trial when it finally happens. But the solitary confinement episode has added a new dimension to the story. It's raised questions about how Diddy is being treated in custody, about whether he's receiving fair treatment or being made an example of, about what justice actually looks like when the accused is someone this famous, this wealthy, this powerful. And it's reminded everyone that the American criminal justice system, even at the federal level, where resources are supposed to be greater, is still a deeply flawed institution. One where your experience can vary wildly depending on who you are, what facility you're in, and who makes decisions about your custody. For Diddy, the fight is far from over. The legal battle will dominate headlines for months, maybe years. The criminal trial will be a media spectacle, and whatever happens there will shape how we remember his legacy. But the story of those weeks in solitary confinement, that's a chapter that reveals something about the system itself, about power and powerlessness, about what happens when someone who once had everything finds themselves at the mercy of that system. Sean Combs spent decades building an empire, shaping culture, commanding respect and fear and admiration in equal measure. Now he's inmate 035005, living in conditions that most people can't even imagine, preparing for a trial that will determine whether he spends the rest of his life behind bars. The solitary confinement episode is just one part of a much larger story, but it's a part that matters, because it shows us what's at stake when the machine of justice grinds forward. When the accused is stripped of their wealth, their status, their power, and left with only the protections that the law provides, or doesn't provide. We'll be watching as this case continues to unfold, as new developments emerge, as the legal battle intensifies. Because this story, the fall of Sean Combs, is far from over. This has been Edge of Entertainment. Thanks for watching.